Hi everyone, welcome to Sue's Day. I'm Sue Ann Jafarian of the Novel RV. This is one of my besties, Stacy. And we are coming to you to give a recap of Stacy and Sue's Excellent Adventure 2023. Now, we started this Memorial Weekend,
Right.
and we have been on the road just shy of 4 months together. Primarily visiting the Canadian Maritime provinces, but also parts of the northern part of the United States. So we want to give you a little recap of that. So I want to ask Stacy, what was your favorite place we visited? What was your favorite activity we did? What was your favorite province in Canada?
Boy, I don't know. This is hard to answer because there was so much good stuff out there. My favorite area definitely was the Gaspé Peninsula. There were many other places I enjoyed. There were beautiful places. Nova Scotia was wonderful. The Gaspé Peninsula was a pleasant surprise because we hadn't planned to go there. And
Friends told us
we should, and we looked at the map and we said, let's go there, and we did, and it was wonderful. So what else? The favorite thing we did or saw? Oh, that's a tough one because we saw a lot of great things and fun things, and it'd be hard to...
What's our favorite activity? I know we've talked about this before. The cog train.
The cog train was great. The cog train was wonderful. It was a big surprise to me because I hadn't heard of it. I wasn't expecting anything from it, and we ended up with a really wonderful weather day, exceptionally beautiful and clear, which is rare, apparently.
Now, the cog train was on my bucket list. The cog train is a cog train that goes pretty much straight up the mountain to the summit of Mount Washington. If you've never done it or never heard of it, look it up and plan on doing it. It's fabulous. But generally, when you get up there, it's hard to see anything for very far because it gets, clouds, fog, things like that sock in. It's also one of the stopping points for the people on the Appalachian Trail. Anyway, we got up there and we couldn't have had a more glorious day if we had ordered in advance and paid for it. It was just beautiful, and it was a fun trip, very fun trip.
Yes.
So that was, I think, my favorite activity too. My favorite province was Nova Scotia. I always had it in my head I wanted to see Halifax, and we spent 3 days in Halifax at the harbor to their farmers market and things like that. And we did the Cabot Trail, which the Cabot Trail was something we were on the fence about doing.
Yes.
And this happened quite a bit on our trip. We were like, I don't know if I want to drive all that way around those winding mountainous roads, whatever. We were kind of on the fence about it. And then the morning we decided we would just go up so far and then turn around, I got out of my van at the Alexander Graham Bell Museum, which is something else not to miss.
Do not miss that.
Do not miss
Actually,
that.
that was one of my favorite places, I think.
The Alexander Graham Bell Museum is fabulous.
Incredible.
And we both got out of our vans, and I looked at her and I said, I now want to do the Cabot Trail. And she goes, oh, me too. So after the museum, off we went up the Cabot Trail. And that was where we had our favorite overnight place. Pleasant Bay.
Pleasant Bay lived up to its name. We stayed there 3 days.
3 nights. Right on the edge of St. Lawrence Gulf. You could hear the waves in the morning. It was fabulous. And it was free.
Yay.
So let's talk about that. In the nearly 4 months we've been on the road, we did mostly dry camping or boondocking.
Right.
And most of our dry camping and boondocking came with fabulous views. So Stacy has some statistics. She's our numbers person.
No, I'm not. But I did look up a couple things because I was curious. And we ended up staying 5 times in campgrounds that we paid for, and spending only $333 a piece
on camping.
On camping.
In 4 months.
In 4 months, and most of them while your solenoid was not working and your van was not charging properly, so Sue Ann needed electricity for a little bit to keep things going. She got that fixed, and the rest of the time we went dry camping up until we went to Bar Harbor, and then we decided to stay in a campground for a few days.
And even in Bar Harbor, we stayed at the Bar Harbor campground, and that was only like $44 a night, which is like half the price of the other campgrounds in the area, unless you get a national park campground. And this came with hookups. We had electric and water for $44 a night, and there's a shuttle that comes and takes you to either Bar Harbor, the village, or to Acadia National Park.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Yes.
So I would definitely stay there again
Me
if I'm in
too.
the region.
Well, this was my second time staying there, and it was just as good as the first time. So, yeah, so we didn't do a whole lot of camping in campgrounds. Neither of us like RV parks, by the way.
No.
So what few campgrounds we were in campgrounds as opposed to RV parks. My solenoid's now fixed. My friend Dan, we're at Dan and Faith's right now. And we came over here and he put in a new solenoid so I could continue on with my trip. And let me tell you, Canada, clean. Let's talk about clean. Folks, why can't we keep our country that clean? There was very little graffiti and garbage anywhere. In fact, there was no garbage. The only time we saw trash on the ground was at tourist sites. And even that, very little. It was very clean.
It was.
Yeah.
It was impressively clean. So
Yes. And the people were impressively nice.
they were very nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Everywhere we went, everybody was curious about us and our vans. But they were very, very nice. Even in the places where they only spoke French, I managed to get by. Stacy speaks French. I don't. But even when I was on my own in a store and everything, people were so nice to me. So we enjoyed that. I think the thing that took a little bit to get used to was when you first enter into Canada, getting used to seeing a speed limit of 50 and realizing that's kilometers and it's not miles per hour. They don't go quite as fast as we do in the States, which was nice. But you have to remember, when you see a big 5.0 or a big 7.0, that's not miles per hour. And getting used to the money. The money's not that big of a deal, but they have coins for $1 and $2. So you end up with all this change, and you got to remember to spend it. What else about Canada was kind of fun and quirky?
Oh, I don't know about fun and quirky, but it was interesting. We originally went through Ontario, and that was more like it was kind of North America, U.S. light, almost. It was not as jarring a difference. And then the second time when we went up into Canada, we entered through Quebec, and then you really felt like you were in a foreign country.
Yes.
The signs are all in French.
All in French.
Toronto or Ontario was bilingual.
Yes.
As far as the signs went. Quebec, no such thing. It was all in French, and so every now and then I would think, "Oh, did I tell Sue Ann about this?" She went through like a trooper. She could do it on her own, no problem.
They kind of have pictures for us dumb people, but that was kind of interesting. And one of the things we really enjoyed on the trip was the food. We ate out almost every day, except when we were camping. And we tried different things. Stacy had only had lobster once in her life, and that was in South Dakota at a Red Lobster. So that doesn't count.
No.
So she had her first lobster roll on Prince Edward Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. Then there were more to follow. Each almost progressively better and better as we went along and tried different ones. And the last one in St. Martin's, New Brunswick, was out of this world. You could taste the sea in it. It was just so fresh.
So she's now a lobster roll
So
connoisseur.
I like lobster rolls. It's an expensive taste. Thank you very much, Mr. Farian.
Yes, and we tried poutine in Quebec, where it started. I didn't like it. She liked it better than I did. But they gave us so much that we took it back to our vans and heated it up for dinner. And it was much better heated up as like a gooey casserole.
Yeah, it kind of melted the cheese curds.
Yeah.
and it was good.
Then it was good reheated.
But,
So we tried that. And we went to Old Quebec City. And I have to tell you, if you're driving in an RV or a van like us, definitely go to the ferry and park your vehicle for like $4 or $5. You take the ferry over, it takes 12 minutes, and it lets you off right in Old Quebec City. So we spent one whole day in Quebec City, and that was a lot of fun. We did the hop on, hop off tour to get an overview of everything.
Right.
Rode the funicular, ate Old Quebec food, and that was kind of neat too. So we were able to knock a few things off bucket lists while we were doing that.
It was a good visit, and from there we went up around the Gaspé Peninsula and down just along the coastline around and over to PEI, to Nova Scotia, to New Brunswick. Just a wonderful, and then back down into Maine. Just a wonderful
But
trip.
the Gaspé Peninsula, I'll tell you, we didn't even have that on our list to see until a friend said that.
Right, and I'm so glad we went there.
Yeah.
I will never. To me, that's the most unforgettable part of the trip. I'm so happy that we went there.
Now, one of my disappointments in this trip is, and one of the few, is that we didn't see any moose. I wanted to see a moose in the wild, and we didn't see any moose. I didn't want to get so close it connected with my van. But everywhere we went, there were all these moose warnings, and I think the moose knew we were coming and they hid, because we didn't see any moose. We only saw a few deer. You saw a mouse.
I saw a mouse run across the road in front of my van. That was my only encounter with wildlife on the road, fortunately.
Yeah.
Live wildlife, anyway. There were less fortunate wildlife bits around, but...
And we certainly saw our fill of lighthouses.
Yes, there were a lot of lighthouses.
A lot of lighthouses.
Peggy's Cove was a
Peggy's
surprise.
Cove was another surprise in Nova Scotia.
Because everybody says, you have to go to Peggy's Cove. You have to go to Peggy's Cove. And I was expecting, whenever people say you have to do something, I kind of bristle a little bit. It's like, I do not have to do that. But, and was expecting just the worst as far as a touristy lighthouse. But, it is so beautiful.
Oh, and there was a man out on the rocks playing bagpipes. It was just fabulous. So, we had some unexpected surprises where we just kind of thought, it'll be okay. And it turned out to be much better than okay. So, we liked that. So, anyway, talk about the gas. You did the
gas.
The gas?
Yeah, I added up our gas for the trip. In almost 4 months, we have spent just over $2,000 each in gas, which doesn't seem too bad considering I don't know how many miles we've driven, but a lot.
We drove a lot.
A lot. And in Canada, we actually kind of estimated the average amount that we spent in Canada, and it came out to about $5.07 a gallon. So not that much more than in the States, given the exchange rate and everything, which definitely worked in our favor because, for us as Americans going up there and changing for Canadian currency, it really helped with our expenses.
Yep,
made
it was
a more affordable trip for us. So
it was. So, and crossing, we crossed into Ontario at Sault Ste. Marie. We crossed out at Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls was great. I had never seen it from the Canadian side. She had never seen it.
I'd never seen it.
And that was great. Then we went back in Vermont and came back out in Maine. And we had no troubles with the border crossings at all. They asked us questions. We answered honestly.
They waved us on. So each of us.
Yeah, each of us separately. I had one guy at Niagara Falls who poked his head into my van and looked around. Other than that, it was easy peasy. So I would definitely go in and out of Canada again. Now, this in a couple of days is the official close of Stacy and Sue's Excellent Adventure 2023. And we'll be going our separate ways, and we're quite eager to be back on the road solo. we thought about that. We enjoy traveling together. This is not our first rodeo. We
Right.
like traveling together, but in our hearts, we're both solo travelers. And so we're both eager to be on the road solo, and it's not because of anything that happened. We got along remarkably well.
Oh, yeah.
But we like solo traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So she's leaving a couple of days for her home in South Dakota. I'm spending time with my family, and then I'll be heading back to Texas. But we will be joining up again at the end of the year in around the holidays for a few weeks or so. And then we'll probably separate again and go. So, so while this adventure is over, there are more adventures to come.
Yes, there are always more adventures.
Always more adventures. So I hope you liked this video. Please hit the like button if you did, and please subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you next Tuesday.